Councilman Isaiah Thomas, who checks in, I think, to talk about that, but we also want to find out from him. He's got his finger on the pulse of what's going on with the virus. Councilmember Thomas, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And as always, the conversation is always great because I'm a sports guy before I became a member of City Council. So thank you.
We know that. We know you're a coach. You watching Last Dance? What are your thoughts?
I'm watching it and I'm loving it. I'm a little younger. I'm 35 years old, so that first championship for the Bulls, the first three-peat, was a little somewhat historic in the sense that I didn't get an opportunity to see it, but I vividly remember watching the second three-peat, but at the same time I wasn't old enough to understand all the behind-the-scenes stuff. So while the documentary is great, it's informative, it also creates so much conversation throughout the course of the week on social media and in group text messages and things like that, where people begin to compare, debate, argue. So I think that's always good as well, too.
Mm-hmm. We want to get the sense from you as to where we are. You're, as a member of council and as somebody who really, as we said, has got your finger on the pulse. Can you give us an update and tell us what's going on, where we are in terms of the virus?
Sure, absolutely. So for us in Philadelphia, we are a little bit behind the rest of the state. We still have a large amount of cases, not just old cases, but new confirmed cases every single day. Clearly, when you look at the rest of the state and look at Philadelphia, we're a much more populated space. Folks are much more congested. So you would expect for a virus like this for Philadelphia to be a little bit behind. The governor plans to open up most of the state this week coming up. The mayor last week introduced his budget, which, as we anticipated, had some huge downfalls. He talked about the proposal or the possibility of tax increases as well, too. And I think that is the one thing that got my messages and phone calls going through the roof, is because folks really don't want to see a tax increase in the city of Philadelphia. So over the next month, we're going to be debating the budget and what direction we should go in as a municipality. Again, we are definitely facing a deficit, but it's up to us to be as innovative as possible to figure out how do we generate revenue for the city without just relying on the tax.
Yeah, it's a tough time to ask people to give out more money when everybody's losing work. When you talk about the governor's talking about opening up, and obviously everybody wants to have the chance to get out and work and socialize, but what does that mean? Like in Philadelphia, will I be able to go to a restaurant soon? Will I be able to go out to a public gym? What does opening up mean?
That's a great question. So when the governor talked about opening up, he talked about opening up in three phases. He talked about red, yellow, and then green means completely open up. So the governor is going to look in the next 7 days to allow some counties to move from red to yellow. And what that will consist of is businesses opening up that are essentially businesses that are not businesses that can practice social distancing, businesses that are a step further than essential, but also businesses that put people in a position where they can help generate revenue, but at the same time offer a quality service. So in other parts of the state, it'll be happening before southeastern Pennsylvania. And what we're hoping we can do is mirror how other parts of the state is essentially opened up and have that same responsible level of opening in the city of Philadelphia. So what we'll see again, businesses opening up in a tiered way, but certain things will not go back to norm this summer. A great example is going to the movies, right? That won't be something that will be opening up anytime soon because of the close proximity that comes with being involved in that particular activity. So activities that doesn't force people to interact with one another like that, and businesses that allows the proper social distancing, will be that first yellow tier of businesses that we see open up, and then eventually, hopefully sometime this summer, we'll see a full green.
Yeah, the thing that was kind of sad to me, and was announced this week, and I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, anybody with an ounce of common sense knew it had to be, but when they made the announcement that the pools aren't going to open this summer for the city pools, we're getting to the point now where the weather's getting a little warmer. People are starting to think summer. And listen, in the city, the pools and the recreation centers are huge in the summertime. And the news that there wouldn't be any pools this summer, I think that, even though I think we all knew it was coming, the announcement that it was there, I think, was kind of sobering.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So you are at home. You got a son, as I remember, correct?
7-year-old son. Yeah, that's another beautiful part about watching The Last Dance is in certain segments to be able to watch it with him. Every once in a while, we got something to cover his ears. but it's a history lesson for my son who watches me coach high school basketball, who, you know, plays as much as he can for a 7-year-old, but then also plays a ton of video games. So he's more entrenched in a culture than he is the actual fundamentals of the game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it is. You are showing this and saying, hey, this is the best that ever was. Watch this and learn. I'm sure that's a great thing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's the debate that it creates, right? So I might say that this is one of the best players that ever played, or the best player that ever played, in my opinion. But my son is going to start talking about all different level of players based on his research and his experience. And then when we open up the dialogue to people outside of our network, it creates, outside of our family, then it creates even more dialogue where people are saying, oh, LeBron's the best player, or Kobe is better than Mike was. And I mean, the debate is extremely healthy. While I don't agree with a lot of it, I think the conversation is not just healthy, it's important right now while we're all in quarantine, and we can have other ways to enjoy sports without actually watching live games.
Yeah, and this and the NFL draft have basically been it for the last 7 weeks. And Ray, you talked earlier about how, you know, you'd love to see the one on Wilt. The challenge with the one on Wilt, and I'm sure you encountered this, Ray, when you did work for NFL Films, is who knows how much good tape there is, who knows how much history is there. This Bulls one, and we talked to Mike Tolan last week, who's the executive director, the amount of access, the amount of film, the amount of detail is stunning. And Councilmember Thomas, that's one of the reasons this thing is so good. They got every second. I
agree. It's one of those fortunate situations where you know that you're at the end of the rope. Often when teams are in their prime or in the middle of a run like the Bulls were on, you don't know that you're at the end of your rope. You think that you still have more time. And because they had a unique situation, it allowed us to get that type of access to them. Because I did hear you guys about other documentaries. I, too, would love to see something around Wilt Chamberlain or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because for me, in my era, we didn't get an opportunity to see them and recognize their greatness. When you talk about, especially Kareem, because people say Kareem's the greatest basketball player of all time, looking at high school, especially college, and then the NBA, which for us, it's difficult for my era to really understand not just his skill set, but the impact he had on the game at that time.
Sure. Councilmember Isaiah Thomas, we appreciate the update on what's going on in the city, and we always like talking sports with you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you to the listener audience as well.
Well, it's our pleasure. You be well.